the Kim Mulkey article in the Washington Post, that came out, and she was labeling it a hit piece. She was drawing our attention to it. And there was nothing in there where I went, oh, I didn't know that, except for being estranged from her family, which, okay, that has nothing to do with her as a head coach. How she treated some of her players at Baylor, that was not a surprise. I mean, she has a singular focus, and that is winning. She's no different than Bob Knight. So if we want to trumpet Bob Knight and, recognize his greatness, Kim Mulkey is, cut from the same cloth. Not all of her players, not all of his players liked him. And now Bob took matters into his own hands, literally, with one of his players, Neil Reed. But Kim Mulkey is tough. But you sign up to play for her. Players transferred in to play for her. She wants to win. You may not like it, but I don't look at her as a villain. And she just wins. That's what she's told to do, paid to do, expected to do. But I read the Washington Post piece, and I went, okay. But she's the one that brought more attention to it, which made me think, wait, what is she hiding if she is so nervous about this? And they timed it out. I thought it was going to come out on Sunday, came out on Saturday. You want to time it so it's right before LSU's game, and then all of a sudden they're talking about it afterwards. Well, she said she hadn't read it, and I don't know if that's true or not, but this is what she does. She's tough. Bill Belichick doesn't try to be your friend. I don't know if Kim Mulkey's trying to be your friend. She's trying to be, and I think, depending how long you played athletics, you do have coaches where that guy doesn't like you. He doesn't. But there is a respect, like Vince Lombardi. His players didn't like him. As one of his players, the famous quote, he treated us all the same. He treated us like dogs. As long as you're being fair to your players, then that's usually all you're asking for with a coach. Just be fair, be respectful. They play hard for her, and you had two of their best players who transferred in to play for her. It's not like you go, oh, my gosh, I didn't know she was this way. Mike Krzyzewski, very demanding. Bill Belichick, very demanding. It goes along with the territory. It's hard to be and have sustainable greatness as a head coach without upsetting somebody. And yes, she had issues with some of her players, sexuality, social media. She, sat down Angel Reese, her star player, for 4 games earlier this year. She demands greatness out of you. And sometimes what happens is a coach will ask for you to clean up your flaws when they don't clean up their flaws. Bob Knight would always yell at his players, have composure. Bob Knight never had composure, but he was a great coach. So I read it. I didn't really see anything that I didn't know or that I went, boy, that raises a red flag. She's a great coach, plain and simple. LA Times wrote a column that was UCLA versus LSU, and the LA Times went back and cleaned it up a little bit because it's basically saying good versus evil, and that's not fair to LSU. If that's the effort you give me every single night and how you play and you're we talk about LSU like, oh, man, they're trash talkers. The biggest trash talker is Caitlin Clark. Like, let's be fair here. It's just Angel Reese doing what she did at the end of the game bothered a lot of people. Okay, you're going to get that tonight. It's going to be Caitlin Clark probably putting her hand to her ear like, I can't hear you. Or maybe, can you see me? Okay, Angel Reese is going to have something to say as well. They're not going to be friends tonight, but they said they're not enemies. Tonight, you're opponents, and it'll be fun. And Kim Mulkey, she's going to be fired up as well. Guaranteed to be sparkling, maybe in a variety of ways there. So I look forward to it. The storylines for the women match up. You could not have scripted this. Well, they did script it. They were hoping you get to UConn, USC, LSU, and Iowa. This is a year in the making. We were worried that maybe you're going too early with Iowa and LSU meeting in an Elite Eight instead of a Final Four, or maybe the potential for a national title game. Make no mistake about it. USC is for real. Juju Watkins is the next star. And in 4 years from now, if she's still playing in college basketball, we might be talking about her in the way that we talk about Caitlin Clark. It's a different style. But Juju Watkins dominates. Paige Beckers, what a wonderful story to come back from 2 knee surgeries to play for the greatest women's coach of all time, one of the greatest coaches of all time. Undermanned, not a deep roster, and here they are. Look forward to that as well. The storylines are wonderful, and they have the stage to themselves tonight. There was an odd moment in the women's tournament. This was in Portland, Oregon. The NC State Wolfpack had a win against Texas. That was yesterday, the regional Final Four. And the three-point lines were different distances at the top of the key. And the NCAA confirmed in a statement during halftime of the game, NCAA notified the three-point lines on the court at the Moda Center in Portland, not the same distance. So they've been doing this, and they had some games previously had been used for 4 regional semifinal games on Friday and Saturday. Then it was finally discovered on Sunday. The head coaches went out and go, all right, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. And they decided that they were going to continue to play the game. And it was noticeably shorter than the standard distance of 22 feet, 1 in 775 inches. So 22 feet, 1.7 inches. Is that right, Paulie?
Correct.
Okay. I said there'd be no math on here. So they somehow they measured it and didn't measure it correctly to begin with. They offered them the opportunity to maybe not cancel but postpone that game, and then they'd have to wait until they marked the three-point line correctly. So you had the fans already there. Coaches are out there looking at the three-point line. And if you look at the two, there's a big difference in the gap at the top of the key at one end and at the other end. But they decided that they were going to play. What do you do in a situation? I mean, how does that happen? The people, nobody's taken blame for this, but how do you have people who do this? That's what they do for a living. They come in, they put in the lines for the men's and the women's, depending on if it's an NBA college, women's college line. And you look at it and you go, there's a little bit of a difference there. I think both teams shot better at the one end that was a little bit further back, the standard one. So, yes, Todd.
If you're in charge of the event or the game promotion or anything to do with having the court set up right, and an assistant or someone happens to whisper to you minutes before tip-off, something doesn't look right with the three-point line, where do you go from there? Let's keep that between us, or I got to go down on the court and stop this game.
I'm just surprised nobody saw it leading up to yesterday, that you would go, that's odd. A shooter would know that. Now, I don't know if somebody said, I'm not going to bring this up, but you would know that. There have been times when the rim out there in our field house, and I said that rim is not correct. And it's true. There are times when I said it's either too high or too low. But if you're that's what you do constantly, you would notice that. There's a big difference there. And as far as on the floor, sure. Somebody noticed that. They just probably didn't bring it up to anybody. Like, I don't know. I don't want to create a mess here any more than it already is. Yeah, Paul. 5
games were played in the Portland Regional, and all of them had the different three-point lines. Mm-hmm. The shorter, improper line, the players shot 29%. The proper line, a little bit longer, they shot 33%.